all of you out there who don't know me yet, my name is Leah Toran, and I'm a professional circus artist. The question I literally get asked the most about my job is, how long can you do your job? And then it is directly linked to, what are you going to do when you stop performing? In this video, I want to address this topic because I think it's a topic that interests a lot of people who are not in this business, but also some people who want to start doing this and have to convince, for example, their parents or other people that this is a good path. Being a circus artist is not a very conventional job. Lots of people don't know what it actually is and that it actually really is a job, that you can live from it. Therefore, people are often skeptical, and I remember even when I tried to convince my parents that I wanted to become a circus artist, that at the beginning they weren't really sure if this was a good choice because it seemed something so like up there in the cloud. In this video I want to answer these questions. How long can you do this job for, and what can you do afterwards? I'm giving you guys 3 different ways of looking at this topic, and at the end I'm going to conclude just with my own opinion. Let's start with how long can you do this job for? This is a very vague question to ask yourself because it really depends on what you're doing as a performer. There are people in the circus that are acrobats, that have high impact on the body, that work really physically, but there's on the other hand also people in the circus who are jugglers or clowns who will maybe also have a very physical job, but it will not have as much impact. Thus, you can maybe do it for a longer time. So what usually the numbers that people usually throw around, 35 for women and 40 for men, really depending on what disciplines you're doing. Usually why the number for women is lower is because often women want to have babies, but I know a lot of women as well who keep performing after having babies, so this should not be a big issue. There's tons of people who perform way into the 40s or 50s or even 60s. Like, just because some people decide to stop earlier, it doesn't have to mean for you that you have to stop at that age. At the end, it really comes back to oneself. Do you still have fun doing the job? Do you still feel comfortable being on stage? Do you feel capable of still doing your act? All of these things play a role, of course, but let's just assume for this video, someone who was working in circus will stop at the age around 35. What can you do from there? And I'm going to give you 3 ideas or plans that I think are realistic to take into consideration to do this job. First, there is a lot of jobs linked directly to this job, which means when you're working on stage, people just see the person that is on stage. They don't see the backstage. They don't see what else there is all around to make a show happen. The easiest example is the coach. Coaches are people that often were acrobats before, or performers or sportsmen before, and when they stop, they decide to coach other people. But this is not the only example. There's casting directors, there's artistic directors, there's directors of shows themselves, there's choreographers, there's costume designers, there's makeup designers, there's stage managers, people who just really organize booking flights, booking hotels. There's people who go more into technical things like rigging or lights. All of these jobs are jobs that are not on stage, and you don't really necessarily see them working, but these are jobs that are directly linked to the circus. Of course, you cannot, just because you were an acrobat, suddenly become an artistic director. Of course not. There's people who will be more interested in doing that job, and people will be less interested. People will be more talented to do this. But what I'm saying is there's lots of jobs that are directly linked, and once you are in this environment, very often people figure out other passions that are linked to this. As for example me, where I started being interested in filming and in videos, since I started filming our training, filming our trips, and filming our acts in a less professional and then later on more professional way. This way I figured really out, oh, this is something I like, and for me this is gonna be a path I'm choosing. But I'm really saying, for anyone who is already in this job, there's lots of doors and lots of paths you can choose from here. And the experience of having been on stage, the experience of having worked already for a while, for having met lots of people, which is also very important. Like, working in the circus, you will meet so many people that if later on you decide for example, to create your own show or to open your own casting agency. You will know people, you will know acts, you will know shows, you will know the important people you need to know to make the next step happen. Just to global this back up, first, there's tons of jobs that are directly linked to this job. Once you decide not being on stage anymore, you can do things that are more off stage but still linked to this beautiful job as being a circus artist. Number 2, once you finish your education, for me, for example, this was circus school. I did a circus school in Montreal. But for other people, formation can already just be training when they were kids, training with their family if they come from a circus family, or training as like gymnasts. Like there's lots of gymnasts that later on will go to the circus. Once the training period is done and you start working, there is time. What I mean with this is we perform, like right now, 2 shows a night. 2 shows a night means, yes, it's 7 hours of work. From the time I get there, do my makeup, do my warm-up, perform again, it's 7 hours. But the rest of the day is free, which means there is time to study something else on the side, if you want to. Of course, this is easier when you're staying in a permanent job, let's say in Paris, or there's also permanent jobs in Las Vegas or in other big cities. It is easier to go to university on the side, but there's also tons of studies you can do on the internet and or you can do in between contracts. So something to think ahead is to remember that once you start working, there will be time to learn a different job. There's even some companies who will encourage you to help you do that. Let's say, for example, Cirque du Soleil. I know they offer programs to learn things. So there's friends of mine, for example, who learn to become a physiotherapist or to learn to become a certified teacher. There is actually ways to do that, and because everybody has the same issue, it's a very common and open topic, and no one will look at you strangely just because during the day you're doing classes and you're taking classes in something else and you're working at night. This is something very normal and something very doable. I'm doing this right now. I love it. I think it's great. So this means you don't have to do something linked. You don't have to become a teacher. You don't have to become a trainer. You don't have to become a casting agent if that's not what you like. You can also become something completely different. Like you can do studies in mechanics or in business or whatever you would like to do during the day because there's time. And usually also, since you work at night, the day is free. In the day, that's usually when there's classes. That's the second possibility I'm giving you, second option of things you can do. Now we come to my third point, is really for people who are worrying about this issue, that one day they might have to stop working and they don't know what they want to do. Plan ahead. If you're already asking yourself this question before even starting circus, that means that you might be more worried than other people. So just plan ahead, which means if you do a circus well, if you perform at a high level, you can make a lot of money in a short time. Just don't spend it all. Make an investment plan, maybe buy an apartment on the side, go into a fund. Like there's lots of things you can do with money nowadays. At least if you're not sure what you want to do after, have a plan for the upcoming, let's say you stop at 35, have a plan to have money for at least 5 years, to be sure that you have money, you don't have to stress out, and then you can start something new. I know that there's people who are better with money than other people. There's people who worry more and there's people who are more organized. But just have a little thought sometimes. Make a little plan and think about that also when you are going into a job. Prices in circus are really up and down. And I know it's a big taboo. Some people talk about it, some people don't talk about it. But ask around with your friends, ask what the prices are, and keep in mind that you might ask for a higher price just because you want to put some money of the money you're earning aside and keep that for later. So now, all in all, what I want to conclude with is that the most important thing while choosing a job, I think, is to do something you love. If you do something you love, you will have energy to do something on the side. If you do something you love, you will be happy, and you will be happy with the money you're earning, and you will try to make it work even if maybe money is short, because you're doing what you love, you're doing your passion, and you will be good. If you just choose to do something because it will bring you good money, or because it is safe, or because your parents want you to do it, it is never a good choice, because at the end of the day you're not going to be happy, and if you're not going to be happy, you're not going to feel fulfilled in your life. And you're going to be sad, and you're going to be probably more miserable than if you did at least for 10 years what you really wanted to do and then had to change paths. I hope I answered this question for the people who keep asking me this question, because I get this question from all of my family, all of my friends, and I know it comes from a point where people are curious and people care. Like, they don't want to see me struggle when I'm in my late 30s and don't have a job anymore. I can totally understand it. But also I think it is easy to judge a job when you think you know what it is about, but you don't really think underneath. I hope you liked this video. If there's more circus related questions you want me to answer, I'm very glad to answer these for you. This question came from a guy who actually wants to convince his parents to become a circus artist, so I hope I helped you out. I remember when I was 15 and I wanted to convince my parents, it wasn't that easy, but I think now they're good with the job I'm doing. I think they're very proud, they're very happy. So do what you love, enjoy life, keep pushing, and you will find a way. You will find your own path and the money will follow. Don't worry. Stay tuned for more videos like this or for little daily vlogs about my lifestyle here. I'm working right now at the Moulin Rouge in Paris. I have 2 shows every night. So if you're around in Paris, write me a little message. Yeah, stay tuned for my videos. See you guys tomorrow. Oh, and one thing I forgot. If you guys have other ideas or other propositions or other things that come in your mind, or you're a circus artist yourself and you took a different path, just leave a little comment below with a proposition or with the path you took, so that people can read through your stories and feel encouraged to take this step, which might seem a little bit risky at the beginning, but I can really assure you guys it is a dream job. So with this said,